Alright, the purpose of this video is to walk through navigation for the online Blackboard course for Biology 1401. Whenever you first log in, it's going to take you immediately to the announcements page, and on this page there will be weekly announcements that I send out to remind you about what is assigned and what's due that week. I'll also put up reminders about the exams, any relevant information as far as school closures, holidays, things like that. When you log in for the very first time, as you're getting started on the course, you should go to the Begin Here section. You'll use your buttons on the left-hand side of the screen to kind of navigate through the course. The Begin Here section has several videos that you should watch as you're getting started in the course. They discuss the syllabus, the course walkthrough video, which is what we're doing right now. There's a video on how the labs work for an online class. And then there's also a discussion board grading rubric explanation as well, so you know how to earn all of the points you possibly can on your discussions. There's also a section called How to Succeed in This Class that you should read through. It discusses kind of some study ideas, a possible schedule, different skills, and just things that you should be aware of as you're trying to make it through this class. There's also a frequently asked questions section that you can look through if you have any questions. And then there's a course map that tells you where to find everything in the course. The syllabus link will take you to the syllabus. There is a separate video that goes over the syllabus that you should watch, and you should read through the syllabus carefully. And then the course schedule link is going to be very critical for your success this semester. I have a table here. This is also found in your syllabus as well, but it basically goes through each of the 10 weeks of the long summer semester and what is assigned and what is due those weeks. So looking at this table, the first column is the week number, so weeks 1 through 10. The second column is the dates of those weeks. So week 1 starts on Tuesday, May 31st and runs through Sunday, June 5th. And then the next column is which course session folders you're going to be accessing to get to the materials that you need to do to complete that week. As I've mentioned in the syllabus intro video, this is a 16 session course because during the fall and spring semesters there are 16 weeks to the semester, so it makes sense that you'd have 16 sessions because it'd basically be one session per week. But since the summer is only a 10-week course, we basically have to compress the 16 sessions into those 10 weeks. So what that means is that some weeks, like week 3, you're actually going to have 2 sessions that you're having to get through, both session 3 and session 4. So I'm hoping that this table will make that a little bit more clear as far as what is due and where it can be found. You'll notice the next column has the lecture material listed. Typically you have 1 to 2 chapters assigned per session folder, as well as a quiz over those chapters. The next column is the lab assignment for that session. Every time you have a lab, you also have a quiz that you'll complete at the end of it, and then the discussion that you'll be participating in is listed on the next column. Notice that sometimes there are 2 discussions per week because once again you're completing 2 sessions in a single week. So just be aware of that and keep that on your mind. The deadline for all of the assignments is typically midnight on Sunday night, the week that they are assigned. The only exception to that is I don't have anything due the very first week, so all of the assignments from week 1 will be due at the end of week 2, along with all of the assignments for week 2. So don't wait till week 2 to get started on those things, but since the first week is typically a little bit hectic because you're trying to get your materials together and kind of just get oriented in the course, I don't have anything due that first week. Now, if you join the class late, you need to email me and we can discuss if you get an extension on your assignments. So if you join right before the add drop deadline, I will let you make up the work that you've missed. Just email me and we can discuss that. If you don't email me, then we're going to assume that everything that you are supposed to have done for weeks 1 and 2 will be turned in by the end of week 2. You do have a midterm exam over the first half of the chapters, so chapters 1 through 12 in week 5. This is the week of 4th of July, and the school is closed from the 1st through the 4th, so your assignment, your exam, will actually be due by June 30th. And I will send out a reminder about that because it's kind of a weird deadline, but we need to have that done before the school is closed for the 4th of July holiday. And then in week 10, you have your final exam over chapters 13 through 25. If you are a graduating senior where you're graduating this summer, you need to email me when we get close to the end of the semester because you will need to take your final exam in week 9 because I've got to get your grades turned in by August 1st to make sure you graduate. Everyone else has until Wednesday, August 3rd to get their final exam done. So this is an important table. This link for the course schedule is very important. As I mentioned in the syllabus, I don't accept late work, so after the add drop deadline, everything must be turned in according to the due date. But I do drop your lowest grade, so your lowest lab quiz grade, your lowest lecture quiz grade, lowest discussion grade, and lowest lab exercise grade of the semester. So if you do have kind of an off week, you won't be too bad as far as hurting your overall grade for the class. The course materials link will take you to the session folders. So right now sessions 1 and 2 are open because this is basically week 1 and week 2. And above that there is a session folder organization overview. Now this is basically how each of the session folders are going to be organized. Each one will have a devotion, a steps for success that lists what you will need to do for that week, an instructor insight section where there will be introductory videos as well as study guides, a lecture section where you have PowerPoint presentations that you can look through, the chapter quiz, if there is one, will be in that area, and then the lab assignment and the lab quiz follow that. We do have 12 labs this semester, so you will not have a lab for every session, but you will typically have one per week. And there is a separate video that goes over the lab material that you should look through as well after you read through this stuff. There's a discussion, and then if there's an exam, that will be found in the session folder as well. So let's look at session folder 1. First thing is steps for success. It lists what you need to get done for that week. And I might put any reminders here as far as this reminder down here about the deadline for the assignments, and then also reminding you to watch the videos and read the syllabus. Then there's the devotional. Then there's the instructor insight section. You'll notice there are chapters 1 and 2 study guides that you can download and fill through as you're reading those chapters. You don't turn these in. These are for your edification and help as you're studying the material. I do typically have an intro video. So here I've got a chapter 1 intro, and then we kind of subdivided chapters 2 and 3 into chemistry, biochemistry, and cells. The lectures, you can download either PDFs or PowerPoints, whatever you prefer. And then you take the quiz whenever you're ready. All of the quizzes and exams in this class are closed note and closed books. You should take them without any sort of outside assistance. They are also timed. I typically have the time limit listed for you. If it's 15 to 20 questions, you usually have about 25 minutes. If it's 25 questions, you've got about 30 minutes. And if you do not finish, it will submit it automatically whenever the time limit ends and whenever the time is up. Next is the lab assignment section. You'll download the lab report form and fill that out as you are working through the lab using your spiral-bound lab manual and also access to the online BioLab website to view PowerPoints and videos. Sometimes I will have kind of helpful videos or helpful hints. If there's a lab where students have had questions over it, I will typically put that in the helpful hints section. So you may want to read through that as you're working through the lab to help you with that. And then there's typically a link that you can click on to take you to the BioLab manual website. Remember that you've got to be able to access this website in addition to having your manual and your lab report form that you're going to fill out to make it through the labs. If you buy a new lab manual from the DBU bookstore, it will come with an access code that allows you to register through this website. If you purchase a used or have a used lab manual from a previous student, you will need to purchase an access code separately to log into this website. Now we're the 1401 DBU link. And this is the page that you'll get to as far as registering. There's some information here for new students. If you're having trouble with your access code, you can email them. I do not have any control over this website, so you will need to contact them directly if you're having trouble logging in. But you should certainly also email me to kind of let me know what's going on as far as your troubles if you're having trouble getting into this website. Once you finish the lab report, you will then take the lab quiz, which is usually a 10-question quiz, and you typically have 15 minutes to complete that quiz. Also closed note. And then the discussion is listed. And then sometimes I have additional resources listed. These are just some extra videos that may help you as you're studying, but they're not required material. And that is the typical setup for each of the session folders. So let's go back to the course materials page again and just look at session folder 2. You'll see it's very similarly laid out. There's the steps for success, where there's an introduction to the chapters that you will be reading. There is a list of what you need to get done this week: the devotional, watch the videos, read the chapters, take the quiz, do the lab, submit the lab report, take the lab quiz, can participate in the discussion, and then, like I said, I have an additional resources section as well. So here's the devotional, here's the instructor insight section with these study guides that you can print off, videos to watch, PowerPoint presentations to look through, a quiz to take, lab assignment. You'll see here I've got some extra things you can download and look through. So the lab report itself is what you'll be turning in, but then there's also a separate page that has a microscope and cell plant and animal diagram. Some of the students were having trouble looking at the diagrams on the original document. And then also, if you're having trouble with the field of view, there's an example PDF of that as well. And that also is part of this little extra video, is the field of view section. So as you're working through this lab, when you get to section 4, the microscopic measurements, if you're having trouble, you might want to watch this video. There's also an overview of the lab that just kind of briefly goes through what to expect. The lab link is there as well. You'll then take the quiz, and then here's the discussion information and some additional resources. That's pretty much how all of the session folders are laid out, so that should give you a good idea about what to expect. The faculty info button just gives you a little bit of information about me, as well as some pictures that you can see kind of what I look like and our hobbies. My husband and I like to do camping in our little teardrop trailer, so we have some pictures of that as well. The class email button is how you will primarily contact me this semester. You can do create message, figure out who you're going to send it to, so you click on the To button, and then here I am, so Laura C. Instructor. You'll bump that over to Recipients, do your subject line, type your email. If you have an attachment, you can attach that. This will only let you attach one document or one attachment per email. So if you have more than one thing that you need to send to me, you'll have to do it as separate emails. I'm not really sure why it limits that, but that is just something I've noticed. And you just hit submit whenever you're done. The discussion board link will take you to the different discussion boards. Whenever you're ready to post, you will just click on the name of that discussion and then the create thread button. You'll enter your subject, whatever you want to say. If you have an attachment, you can attach it there, and then you'll submit it when you're done. We will not be using the collaborate button very much this semester. The check grades is really the other section I wanted to go over. So this is your grades section, and this is accurate and it's updated and it's kind of a running total. So you will see that each of the items are listed out to the side as well as their due date, and then once you have a grade will be listed for you. So if you see something that doesn't look right, you need to email me. If you see a grade that you don't understand or doesn't seem to be correct, then get a hold of me as soon as you can. For the discussions, you can view the rubric, the grading rubric, so that you know what your goal is for each of those discussions. Let's scroll down. Yes, you have a lot of assignments this semester. All right, so down here at the bottom, the weighted total and the total, these don't really matter. This is just something that Blackboard automatically calculates, but that really isn't relevant to your grade. What matters to your grade are these last three things. So the final course grade, let's view the description here. This is your overall grade for the course. So this is what's going to be submitted at the end of the semester, which will be how we calculate your grade point average for this course. You will see it's a running total, so it's up to date. It does reflect the dropped grades. So if you have your 1-0 for a lab report, that will be dropped before the final course grade is calculated. So this is kind of an accurate running total. And then the lab average and the lecture average are not so much important as far as what's going to be reported to DBU. These are important because if you are failing the lab portion or the lecture portion of the class, you automatically fail overall at the end of the semester. So the lab average is a running total basically of your lab report grades and your lab quiz grades. And then the lecture average is a running total of kind of everything else. So the textbook chapter quizzes, the discussions, the midterm exam, and the final exam. So these grades, the lab average and lecture average, these are not reported at the end of the semester. What's reported is your final course grade, which is a combination of these two things. But if you are failing either one of them, you will automatically fail final course grade overall. Okay, and then the last little section has some textbook resources for you that you can look through. If you're having any sort of trouble in the class, you can kind of click on these different chapter links and it'll give you some helpful information. So there you go.